Good afternoon, everyone. Hope all is well, and I hope you're doing well on this Wednesday, hump day. I hope you're enjoying whatever you're doing. Man, it's super hot. It is like boiling. But we are going to be going live right now with a mortgage advisor who advises his clients on mortgages, development finance, ultra high net worth individuals who want mortgages. This is what he does, and we're going to be talking all about it with him right now. So let's send this over to. Here we go.
Hello.
Hey, how are you?
Keep it
Do
well,
you
thank
mind turning your phone around?
Oh, wow. Okay, just realised this. Just bear with me.
No worries.
There you go. Bit technical difficulties there.
It's all right.
How are you doing, buddy?
Good, good. And yourself?
Yeah, keep it well, thank you. It's a beautiful
Um,
day outside. Trying to
it's
do multitasking,
it's
going live
super
with
hot.
you, as well
Is
as trying to manage my client's expectation.
good stuff. I'm loving the background, the Prada Versace background. It
Oh,
feels
man,
like
God,
it feels like they're sponsoring the live session.
it's on wife, she happens to be crazy about interior designing. It's all her creative side coming through. But thank you, thanks for the compliments.
Good stuff, good stuff. So, Connor, thank you so much for coming on here. Firstly, it's a pleasure to have you on in terms of you joining me on this live session to share the knowledge, spread the positivity. So, I appreciate you coming on here and
Yeah,
sharing that with us today. So,
thank you for having me.
before we get the conversation going, if you can introduce yourself as to who you are and what you do.
Yeah, certainly. So my name is Konark Tricker. My background is in financial service. My journey began in 2009. I was a fresh grad from university. I was studying business studies, joint honors economics. I worked in a private banking sector, followed by working in a largest building society, which was based in the UK. This was again in a mortgage sector.
Okay.
Fast forward to 2016, I set up my own firm along with my brother, and we called it Several Financial Service. A year later, I set up another firm and called it Fifth Avenue Mortgage Limited. Excuse me. Our journey began really in 2016
Okay.
and 2017 when I set up my own businesses along with a couple of boutique stores. Those were actually based in the hotel.
Okay.
Due to current climate, unfortunately, they've closed. So we are hoping to look to reopen them again sometime next month.
Okay.
So yeah, now that I look back in 2020, it has been wonderful adventure. A lot of interested investments, lots of interested interaction with different companies and different groups, and it's a journey that I'm very proud of.
That's amazing. So before we get into the conversation and the nitty-gritty of the conversation, and I get more stuff out of you,
Mm,
just want to take you a few years back. You mentioned that you graduated in 2009 with business
mm,
studies and economics. Um,
mhm,
Taking you into your childhood, we aspire to do a lot of things. We see a lot of careers in front of us, possibly our
mm,
parents, our friends, our uncles,
mm,
aunties, going through a career of being an architect, an engineer, doctor,
mhm.
lawyer, whatever it is. I mean, did you aspire to be one of those careers in life, or did you always have this entrepreneur, business mindset from the very start that you wanted to get on with? What was it that you wanted to
Well,
do?
yes, well, that's a great question. I think I would be lying if I said that I always had this burning desire. So while I was at university, I think like most of the kids, well, I shouldn't say that. I think I should speak from a personal perspective. I wasn't really sure exactly what I wanted with life. You know, it was
Okay.
just going with the flow. I mean, even though my father and my brother actually happens to be in a financial services,
Okay.
so perhaps there could have been some sort of they could have been
Inspiration.
influential in a sense that
Okay.
while I was getting into the final year of uni, I kind of knew what I wanted, but certainly the first 2 years, I was clueless.
It, wa-
Yeah, pretty much. I mean,
it was a more party than study.
yeah, I wouldn't say just for party, but yeah, it was an experience. So just put it this
Yeah.
way,
Yeah.
especially the first year because you meet people from different backgrounds. You
Absolutely.
grow as a person. It definitely enrich your life a lot more. But certainly, I think going into the final year, that's when I became a lot more serious because academically, I think the second and third year, as you may know in the UK, that's when it really counts and
Exactly.
sort of shapes you in life. So that was it, really. So it was quite an experience. Let's just put it this way.
So once you graduated in 2009, and then that's when you sort of decided to get into the financial sector because you studied business studies, you've got the economics on your side as well. I mean, I'm not too fond of economics. It's the most. I mean, it opens up your brain a lot more,
Mm-hmm.
but it's boring to study economics now. It's like
Yeah, no, I understand. I think you need to have passion, really passion
absolutely,
for it, and
absolutely,
desire, and then it just becomes like a second nature when you're
yeah.
studying, you're watching a news. But economics is that kind of a subject. I believe it can be quite complex if you don't know what's currently happening, not just in the UK but sort of globally, to
Globally, exactly.
completely understand where you're coming from.
Exactly. So
Mm.
you came into the financial sector. What is it that you got up to when you got into the financial sector? Can you hear me? It's all
Yeah,
right.
no, I can.
So I
Sorry.
was just saying that what
Mhm.
you got into the financial sector. What were your main duties when you got into the financial sector? What is it that you got up to? What did you do? How did you facilitate the business that you were working for and the clients that were in that business? And what did they come to you for?
Yeah, so again, great question. So I think just going back to my journey again from 2009 to 2010 when I was fresh from uni, fresh graduate, I think from key thing for me was to get an experience, get a bit of an exposure working in a private banking sector, and that actually just helped me to polish up my skills.
Okay.
So, i.e., how to do a fact find. So, as a wealth advisor or as a mortgage advisor, what I usually call holistic fact find. So, take you for example, I will look at you, your circumstances. I believe you have kids.
Yep.
So I will ask you a lot of questions around what's your aspirations, where do you see yourself from 3 years' time, 5 years, or 10 years. So just breaking down from short-term planning to medium and
To
long-term.
long term. Okay.
Yes, exactly. When I say holistic, so I won't just be looking at your mortgages. I'm also going to be looking at protection. So, God forbid, if ever anything happens to you or your other half, you get to have that protection in place, just so there's no burden on your
Okay.
wife, and she can sort of pay off the mortgage, and
Yep.
you're covered, so it doesn't have massive impact on your lifestyle. So it's important to have a drive when you're doing the effect find, not just looking at one point of view, but looking at the overall picture. I think that's the key thing.
So it's something like advising the clients for the mortgages also, their debt protection also, and also kind of their wealth management in terms of so that if something goes wrong with that individual, the family can carry on
Mhm.
normally and not have any sort of issues financially, economically, whatever it may be.
Spot on, yes. So it's just about taking that burden away from your
Okay.
family, and that protection gives you that sort of peace of mind. To be honest with you, they don't cost a lot. I mean, the basic plan, if you've got a standard, house worth 500,000, you can cover off as long as both of you as couple are in your early 30s, non-smoker, you can get the plan starting from as little as £10. A
Got
lot
you.
of people get put off by saying, "Oh, hang on a minute, it doesn't really fit in within my budget." And that's when we start looking at, it's called the budget planner. We break it down and make sure that, even if they can spare £50 aside, we want to make sure they are fully covered just in
Got
case,
you.
something happens.
Got you. So you did that from 2009 to 2010 or 2016?
Connection, do you apologize?
It's all
Can you
right,
hear
no
me?
problem. Yep, absolutely. So I was
Yeah,
saying that
brilliant.
did you do that up to 2010 or did you carry that all the way to 2016 until when you set up your own business?
Yes, so from 2010 to 2016 journey, I was working for a banking sector as well as the building society, which happens to be nationwide.
Okay.
And they are mostly revolved around mortgages. They're known being a building society.
90% mortgages.
Exactly, pretty spot on. So they're being a mutual beneficiary, so
Yeah.
nobody owns the company. Building society is owned by the members. So
Okay.
hence they, predominantly are known for mortgages, for lending. And from then, from 2015 to 2016, I think a lot of my clients, because they were based around Notting Hill,
Yep.
as well as around Ealing, Chelsea, Mayfair, being an affluent neighbourhood.
So the prime central and sort of the prime West London area kind of thing.
Western areas,
Yep.
absolutely. That actually sort of gave me the confidence, and that's where, when my brother came in picture, we decided to open up our own firm called Seven Road Financial Service,
Okay.
as I mentioned at the beginning. So with Seven Road Financial Service, I'll just again give you a quick brief exactly what they do there.
Before you give a quick brief, I mean, when you were in that sort of employment sort of mindset, where you're working for Nationwide and for private. Apologies.
That's okay.
Every time I do these live sessions, people start calling me.
Oh no, it happens.
So I was just
I'm
saying that
multitasking as well while I'm speaking to you. It happens. Yeah. Sorry, go on.
So when you were working at Nationwide and you were working for this private banking sector, it was sort of an employment mindset where security was key, right? You had security of your job, of your finances, all that kind of stuff. How was it for you to set up your own business? What were the difficulties that you faced? Because obviously coming from opening up a real estate brokerage company is pretty easy. You're sourcing property, passing it to investors, deal done.
Yeah.
But this is like, you've got to get your finances right. You've got to speak to banks, possibly bridging companies, or sometimes even, if you can, using your own finance to facilitate other people's mortgages or debts or whatever, like how capital companies or financial companies do it. How was it setting up your business?
Well, I think just going back to my point, what I was stating earlier, it's just going back to having that burning desire and drive to succeed, which again, from a personal perspective, has helped me to have some degree of success. But then really, a lot of the success I think attributes to my family, from their support in terms of not just financially, but I think the key thing for me was my brother actually, because he had tremendous experience, and because both of us decided to go in there and we didn't put all of our capital in one basket.
Okay.
So we had some of the same things in place, and we knew there is going to be a risk factor when you do go down this route. When you open up your own firm, you are taking a chance, absolutely. But I think it was a calculated risk. And just going back to my family, the support, I think, from my wife in particular, I think those were immeasurable in its attribution to any person's success. So I think for anyone, any young entrepreneur who's looking to
Konark, what was key for you at opening your own firm? Was it the finance or was it the network? What was it that was more key? I mean, everyone can have finance, but if you don't have network, how do you work? Everyone can have a network, but if you don't have finance, how do you work? So
Yes.
how did you sort of manage that balance?
So yes, again, so it's a mixture of both, absolutely. So you need capital aside, plus you also need clients. If you haven't got any clients, then you're throwing yourself in a deep end, and there's a lot of risk factors. So thankfully, while I was working in City and with the existing clients which I had with not just private banking sector, but even while I was with the building society, a lot of those clients, because I had a personal relationship, and
Yeah.
that's what you do as an advisor. You build that relationship, which is a long, ongoing relationship. So a lot of those clients actually came with me while I
Okay.
was working my own firm,
Got you.
which I'm really grateful for. So if it wasn't for them, I don't think I would have had the confidence. And again, just going back to the point with my family, with their support, I think that gave the extra confidence of going down that route.
Got you.
And yeah, it just becomes the journey every year when I look back, when you get time to sort of reflect, it does become easier and easier. I mean, there will be
Absolutely.
challenges,
Of
I'm sure.
course.
Yeah,
Every day you meet new challenges, right? But
exactly.
it's good that you said that when you reflect back,
Mm,
it be 1 year in your business or it be 10 years in your business, whatever it is,
yeah,
and you reflect back to where you came from to what you're doing today,
yeah,
it will always give you that extra drive, extra push to sort
yes,
of achieve more and keep on going
yeah,
rather than quitting, I mean, tough times come to everyone. Like right now in 2020, we've had,
mm,
for a lot of us,
mm,
we have seen this for the first time.
mm,
For others, they may have seen it for the second time. But again, every crisis is not the same. Like today, we're seeing health, finance,
mm,
keeping distance, not meeting family, all that kind of stuff put together, and that's what's sort of driving the economy down,
yes,
the people away. But
yeah,
coming back to your journey in 2016 to what to now, right now, 2020,
yeah,
you started your firm 4 years ago. How
yeah.
has that journey been so far? And over the years, I mean, how has it been closing? Because when you started, 2016 was the peak of when we were going into Brexit.
Mm, mm, mm,
Uncertain times. We came out of that. 2019, we came out of that. And all of a sudden, we're bang into the middle of uncertain times again in
mm.
2020. So, how has that journey been for you?
Well, I'm still trying to figure that out. If I'm honest with you, you can call it luck. I mean, we are learning new things every day,
Yeah,
and every day presents its own challenge and learning experiences. But I think up to this point, as I said before, people need to have real desire to succeed.
yeah,
It's easier saying than done. You need to have to take the rough with the smooth.
of course.
But over and above the hard work, there's really no substitute for working hard and trying to enrich your life, trying to find where your weaknesses are, and just be really honest with yourself. And together you can find a solution. It's all in the mindset. I've learned that very quickly at a young age or youngish age,
Yeah,
um, where I think it was good to be true to yourself. You're losing you there. I think it's
it's all
because
right.
I've been multitasking, reading an email, getting a phone call, so do you
It's okay.
apologize. And
No
at
problem.
the end, yeah, and I think what key thing for me as well, because I meet a lot of these savage investors, and I've worked, and they understand what leverage is. So by understanding the leverage, you found. So say for example, I'll give you a real life example. Um, Connection or not quite sure what to
It's
keep
all right.
going.
It's sometimes when the phone call comes and stuff, so it
It's
happens. But
Instagram,
carry on.
yeah. No, I do apologize again, guys, for some of us who are listening. So again, if I may just give like a real example. So when you buy a buy-to-let property, one of the reasons people buy buy-to-let property so they've got additional income coming through,
Yep.
i.e., it could either be your first portfolio or it could be you've got an ISA in place where you get tax-free allowance which government gives you. And the reason why you do this is so there's like an additional either interest coming through or additional income coming through. And
Got
I
you.
think from personal perspective as well, it's the same thing. It's just about making sure you're in a position where you're not just relying on one stream of income, which
Yep.
is coming through. And as long as you're in a position where you can get different streams of, you can afford to make calculated risks.
Yep.
And I think that between the two firms which I have opened, between Fifth Avenue Mortgage and the Cerebro Financial Service, there have been days, there have been weeks, in fact, especially this year has been the biggest challenge for us, where the month of March and April there was a lot of uncertainty, and we weren't really sure where our next client is going to come from. And we were like, people don't really want to invest right now. As you may know, our Chancellor, Rishi Sunak, has waived off their $500,000 for the first-time buyers. That has actually sort of given people the confidence of sort of starting
starting to invest into property, whether it be buy to let, whether it be first time buying, whatever it is.
exactly.
They are now starting to. But then again, today it's big fat in the newspaper that we are finally into a recession,
First
right?
recession since 2008.
750,000 jobs lost.
Yeah.
How is that going to affect? I know the property market, obviously, the people who will buy are the people who have the money or who can afford to have that debt on their sort of bank account or whatever it is, property. But how is it going to be for the first time buyers or the newish property investors? Are they still going to go out and get those mortgages or buy to let finance or whatever it is? Do you think that's still going to drive the economy upscale?
Well, despite all these news that you see on daily basis, there is some positive news out there, which is the Bank of England's base rate is at
Yep.
all-time low.
Yep.
It's been drastically going down since March. As you may know, from beginning of this year, it was already low at 0.75.
Yep.
Then it went down to 0.25. And right now, currently as we are speaking, is at 0.1%. The next review is going to take place on the 17th of September, so not very long.
And do you think it's going to go down to zero?
Oh, very unlikely. I think this is an all-time low, and I doubt it's going to get any lower than that. So what I would tell a lot of the first-time buyers, if they are in a position, try to take advantage of that. Because a lot of the lenders out there are lending money, so please don't think or be put off by media that the lenders are not lending.
Absolutely.
Yes,
I mean, today I just went to meet a gentleman who I've done a live session with before, and they're like ready to give out 150 million credit lines, and like this is a big financial institution, and they do family offices, wealth management, lending and all that kind of stuff. And he said to me that, Murtaza, bring in anyone who is a professional property developer who can use this credit line over a 3-year, 4-year, 5-year period. And we cannot just lend them 150 million is like our minimum ticket size. It can go up to billions.
Oh, yeah.
So, so there are people, like you mentioned, there are people or banks or institutions out there that are lending, but are there people who are actually wanting to get that debt onto themselves?
So this is again going back to the clients you've mentioned. Those are ultra high net worth.
Yeah.
I deal with those clients on day-to-day basis. Let's not look at them. Let's look at our average client where they're buying a property worth say £300,000.
Yeah.
Which is probably impossible in London.
No.
But yes, on the outskirts.
Yeah.
Typically they would need 10% deposit.
Yep.
With a couple of £1,000 aside for things like associated costs, things like solicitor fees, mortgage broker fee, or they may want to pay for like an application fee if they want to go directly with a bank or a building society. With the rates being so low, as I said, apart from the Bank of England's base rate, even the lenders' own rates are so low.
Yep.
The quant rate, I believe, I was looking this morning, I may be wrong, I think it's BM Solution who are offering out 1.09%, which is, I think, all time. They've never hit that low before, so that
Wow.
should give you some sort of confidence. I remember
Wow.
when I used to speak to my parents, they used to pay 11, 12% to buy a mortgage back then. So, that's sort of despite all what's happening around us,
Yep.
sorry, so that should give us some sort of confidence. Um, so yes, there are lenders out there, absolutely, who are willing to lend. As long as the only thing I would say so is please make sure your credit history is spot on. Try not to miss any payments. Don't, apply for any store cards or credit cards if you don't need it. It's always good to stay away from them. Just be smart, with your money. Lenders,
Absolutely.
it gives somebody confidence to lend you. Mm.
That is superb. And you mentioned something about credit history right now, and I want to get into this with yourself.
Mhm.
Why is it so hard for people with bad credit history to get a mortgage? I mean, it could be that
Yes.
they've gone out and they've done what they have in terms of getting the credit cards or the store cards and not using the money that they have and not spending it wisely, not keeping up with payments. But now maybe they might have seen sense
Mm.
and they don't want to go out with all of that anymore, and they're currently paying off their debts on that side.
Mm-hmm.
Wouldn't the banks look at what they are right now, or you as a mortgage advisor, wouldn't you look at that and tell them that, okay, yep, we can do it, but your payments are going to be this much, or your payment level is going to be of this much? How would it work with someone having bad credit?
Yes, so again, you just based on the individual circumstances. So bank, I would say, hardship banks usually stay away from those clients, unfortunately.
Yep.
But that's where we come in, and you're right. As a mortgage brokers or as a private client director, what we do, because we have access to the whole of market,
Yep.
we got about hundreds of lenders. There are going to be an opportunity where we will be able to find someone, but that doesn't mean that we will be able to give you the best rate. So just going back to my point, what I was saying earlier, with the rates being at all-time low,
Yep.
because unfortunately with these clients, not us, but lenders view them as risk clients. So
Okay.
you consider high risk because of their previous, not that I want to say the word mistake, but perhaps they were not as savvy, or
Yep.
just they got
Smart enough.
smart enough, or just got carried away. Everybody had a personal circumstances. They probably needed the loan to clear off some of the other
Other
bad
that's
debt they've got in the
Yep.
past.
Yep.
Yeah, so
Yep.
it happens. It's not necessary to say bad loan. It's just individual circumstances. And lenders out there do take that into consideration. So that's where, when we look at the holistic fact find, I'll be looking at their individual circumstances, on trying to find out what exactly happened, where they went wrong, and then trying to find once I go away, I'll come back with my recommendation and suitability depending on if there is fitting within the affordability. Because we want to make sure that the whole point of getting another, because mortgage is a loan as well. So the whole point of
Yep.
getting another loan in order to get into the property ladder, we
Yep.
want to make sure our clients are educated
Yep.
and they don't make the same mistakes again.
Okay.
So as any right advisor will make sure that they are doing the right thing for their client. I like to call this duty of care.
Okay.
I believe in those are the values which were sort of instilled in me from very very young age, and just making sure my client is aware that before they sort of get onto the property ladder again, just be going back to your point, just be very smart with their money. Make sure that they're in a position to pay off their mortgage each month. That's when we will be asking questions like, is your job secure? What kind of
Got
industry
you.
do you work in? Is there a scope of, moving up or growth?
But right now, I think I think right now the question about is your job secure has to be omitted from the
Mm, it's out the window. Yes.
questionnaire. Uh, but it's good to know about all of that stuff. I mean, and to know how to go about facilitating your finance for a property, whether it be under 500,000, whether it be above 500,000, or maybe you're an ultra high net worth individual, you're buying a multi-million pound property. It's good to know about all these things that you've raised today. And I thank you for coming on here, sharing all that advice with us. And before you go, Konark,
Mhm.
I do this with all my guests that come on here.
Mhm.
We're going through, I mean, every time I say this, I don't want to spread out more negativity,
Mm.
but every single day there is a negative news that takes headlines,
Mm.
and all that creates a lot of negative sentiment with us.
Mm.
So what positive advice would you like to share with the world today, with the viewers today, so that they can take that positive advice on board and move forward in life?
Yeah, again, great question. And what a way to end this last session. I think the most positive thing I could say is just make sure you check on your loved ones. Me being a very family oriented, I mean, family means everything to me.
Yeah,
And, before you sort of start looking after other people, also look after yourself. Because, it's so important to make sure that, especially in today's climate, is trying to have that positive mindset. And
yeah,
I think that can only happen is once we start having interaction. Please
absolutely.
don't shy away, whether you're a man or woman, to let your loved ones know if you're going through, any sort of challenge. If I
Exactly.
may, if I may say so, even depression, which is quite a strong word. But I know there are a lot of my friends, there are a lot of my clients, there are a lot of family members I know out there who are going through that phase. And I'm not going to tell them to look, no, you need to be positive because it's easier and I'm not in their shoes. But one thing
Exactly.
I do want to say is please do have that conversation. It's always
Absolutely.
nice to open up with that conversation. Either it could be with your friends or loved ones, and that actually goes a long way. So I think
Absolutely.
that would be a start.
Absolutely. But thank you so much for coming on here,
Thank
sharing
you
all
for
that with
requesting.
us, sharing the knowledge, sharing your positivity with us. It's been a pleasure to have you on.
Pleasure is mine. All the best.
Thank you, Connor.
Take
Take
care.
care.
And
Bye
you.
bye.
Bye now. Bye.
Bye. So that was Connor, who is a professional mortgage advisor, who joined me here today in terms of discussing mortgage advising, how to go about and get a mortgage, whether you have good credit history, bad credit history, whatever it is. Do check out his profile. And if you're looking for a mortgage, or it be for, like I mentioned, 500,000, a million, multi-million, whatever it is, go and check him out. Send him a DM, and I'm sure he'll be able to help you out. Saima Wali, if you are, well, you're not here anymore, but in terms of just answering your question, is housing the best form of investment as most people are going after properties? I think you should check out my live session that I had with Gurmeet Combo yesterday, and he will show you what's the best investment to make. But thank you so much to Konark for joining me today. Thank you to all the viewers that tuned in. It's been a pleasure to have you on. Take care. Bye bye.